Welcome to Analytics Nexus. Thanks for joining us for Brian Collery's presentation, CrossChannel Analytics, Steps to Mastering Next-Gen Techniques. Brian Collery is a senior consultant with Adobe Customer Solutions. For the past 8 years while at Adobe, Brian has been a trusted advisor for dozens of the top digital brands in the retail, travel, and financial services verticals. As a certified expert, Brian mentors clients leveraging the power of the Adobe Experience Cloud by recommending best practices in all aspects of digital marketing strategy, from analytics, audience management, optimization, personalization, customer journey, user experience, and governance. Prior to Adobe, Brian has over 12 years of client-side experience and led the digital analytics team at American Eagle Outfitters and pioneered the launch of General Nutrition Center's first e-commerce platform on gnc.com.
Well, thanks very much for that introduction, and I'm excited to be speaking here today as part of the Nexus 2020 conference. Today, I'll be discussing cross-channel analytics and some next-generation techniques that you as digital marketers or analysts can leverage to better understand how your customers are interacting with your brands across multiple touchpoints, where the ultimate goal is to have a positive impact on delivering compelling experiences in the moments that matter most to your customers. My goal for today is for you to walk away with a general understanding of what cross-channel analytics is, why it's come into the forefront within digital marketing, and what are some things that you can do today to start your organization on the path of leveraging cross-channel analytics. So let's look at the agenda of topics that I'll be covering today. I'll start with some background and context on what businesses are looking to achieve with cross-channel analytics. Then I'll define cross-channel analytics and some common terminologies that you'll hear when discussing the topic. Next, I'll talk about key factors that have changed the landscape and have brought cross-channel analytics to the forefront, as well as some challenges that are facing digital marketers that are trying to pursue it. And then for the rest of the presentation, I'm going to walk through some specific cross-channel analytics techniques that you as a digital marketer analyst can perform today using Adobe Analytics with a set of tools that we call Journey IQ. So let's jump in. In today's modern digital age, it's experience that is the new differentiator. No longer just price, product, and placement key factors in the purchase decision, but it's experience that now drives businesses. Nothing is more vital to a business than a clear understanding of customers' needs and interests from the past, in the present, and into the future. It is the experienced business that is hyper-focused on crafting personalized experiences that resonate in the moments that matter. So if businesses need to deliver compelling experiences across engagement points, monitoring and measuring the various points of the customer journey and interactions with multiple channels are critical and give businesses a competitive edge. And the failure to do so results in significant lost opportunity in the face of competition. A critical capability for the experienced business is placing these customer insights that are derived from data in the hands of every person who interfaces with the customer to influence the micro moments that constitute experiences. Given this critical importance to business, it's easy to appreciate that the customer journey, with all its channel touch points and its prolific amount of data and supporting technologies, are attracting an increasing amount of interest across all industry verticals and from multiple functions or disciplines. Groups and organizations such as IT, customer experience, product development, marketing, and sales are all interested in cross-channel analytics. In fact, a recent Gartner survey found that nearly half of IT and business leaders who invest in customer analytics see customer journey and channel analysis as their top priority. So enter cross-channel analytics. So what is it exactly? Well, Gartner defines it as a process of tracking and analyzing the way prospects and customers use a combination of available channels to interact with an organization over time. These channels can include those with human interaction, such as a call center, those that are fully automated, like a website or mobile app, those that provide assisted help to the customer, like live chat or co-browsing, those that are operated in physical locations, such as a retail store, those with limited two-way interaction, like display advertising, email, or SMS. The ultimate goal of cross-channel analytics is to derive insights that lead to optimized customers' experiences. And it is getting to these insights to the decision makers to take action and make a positive change can be a real challenge. So what is some common terminology that you might hear related to cross-channel analytics? Well, first are the steps in the customer journey. These steps have different labels depending on who you ask, but commonly are referred as awareness, interest, consideration, conversion, and retention. Here's an example in the financial service industry of a customer who's seeking out a new credit card. Initially, they have awareness, where they may have a need, such as maybe their interest rate is too high, or they'd like to earn more miles on purchases or get travel status faster. Then there's the interest. Perhaps a new credit card could help meet these needs. Then there's the consideration. What card would be best for me based on the features that I need? Then there's the conversion. I want to be able to apply for that credit without any friction and get it as quickly as possible. And then finally, retention. What are the features and benefits that I can use to keep using the card and retain the customer? So now that we know the journey, we need to understand the touch points where the customer interacts. These interaction points are the channels. Channels can include a multitude of touch points where the customer may interact with one, a few, or a dozen, and it may occur over a day, a week, months, or even years. Some of these channels could include direct interaction with a website, receiving a direct mail or seeing a display ad, receiving a push notification, receiving a physical catalog, calling into a call center, getting an SMS message, interacting with a kiosk, or actually making an in-store visit. Now the diagram that we have here shows a nice linear path of value and time, but we know in reality that the way that a customer journey works and their interactions with various channels is very messy. One customer may follow one particular path and another may have different interests and need to follow a different journey. It's these different journeys that make cross-channel analytics very difficult. So one of the first concepts that we have is the concept of identity. Because customers follow these messy paths and interact with various channels, they need to have the ability to have a common identifier as they interact with each particular channel. Because in reality, each channel has its own version of who that customer is, and they give that customer a key identifier. And to have a common identifier is important, otherwise you won't be able to tie all the channels together. So some of the terminology related to identity includes identity management, digital fingerprint, device graph, data onboarding, IDA service. All of these different terms and tactics are a way to bring in that customer's identity into one view so you can track them across the journey. A little later, I'm going to talk about CrossDevice Analytics, a feature within Adobe Analytics that does this stitching of devices and channels into one session so you can analyze people and not devices. The next terminology is data management. So just like identity, managing the data across all the different channels is equally difficult. Each particular channel or company that you interact with has its own data store. And you need to be able to bring all that data together to do cross-channel analytics. So you'll hear terms like data lake or customer data platform or data management. All these different terms are taking the data and transforming it and modeling it and putting it together in one place so you as a company can activate it against a customer. And then finally, there's data science. By collecting channel data from all the customer journeys, it's data science that processes the data and predicts or recommends channels that the customer may or should interact with next. By looking at each particular path, it figures out or predicts what the next best channel is or action should take based on what the previous customers have followed. It does this with tools such as lookalike models, where you take your best customers or those that completed some positive action and then use modeling to find customers who have not completed the desired action but share similar traits to the seed group. And then there's next best action, which is the latest buzz term, which attempts to forecast what is the next most valuable actions that customers should take to increase value, which leads to customer scoring and lifetime value, which are key metrics that many experienced businesses use as their primary KPI for cross-channel analytics. They use this metric to guide where to spend money and effort to get the greatest return and find the greatest opportunity for growth. And finally, there's response propensity, which is the likelihood to take an action, where churn is the opposite, and measurement fallout, where the customer did not take a particular action. So given this basic background in cross-channel analytics, what has changed? Because for some of us that may have been around for digital analytics for a while, some of these terms and tactics sound familiar. Well, a lot has changed, and here's a few key factors. The first is channel proliferation. The number of channels and digital devices that a customer has, from desktop, tablet, mobile, wearables, to voice assistants, smart devices, Internet of Things, set-top boxes, and the connected automobile, all these touch points make the customer journey exponentially more complex and vast. Next, data storage continues to be cheaper and cheaper. The ability to store data in smaller physical space has also grown almost exponentially. Storage amounts have gone from gigabytes to terabytes to petabytes. Next will be the exabyte, the zettabyte, the yottabyte, and my favorite, the largest of them all, the brontobyte. Well, some of these storage amounts may sound foreign to us today. They could be the next common standard for how much data businesses are storing on their customers. And with all that storage comes the technology advancement to process this vast amount of data. Machine learning and data science use all that data to turn out new models and predict customer behavior quicker than ever before. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention data privacy and the growing concern on respecting customers' data and their right to privacy, and when to choose not to be tracked in their journey. There are various new laws and governances that are coming in place on how businesses can and should collect customer data. And finally, our customer expectations. They're always changing. The bar is constantly being raised, and customers are smart. They know all the factors that I just described, and they expect more out of the companies they interact with. In fact, even in industries where competition may not be as fierce, when customers interact with an experienced business that gets it right, they expect the same kind of service everywhere. So let's talk about 3 key challenges for those that are working with cross-channel analytics. I wanted to narrow on a set of challenges that should be relevant for our specific roles. So you may be a marketer or a business user, or maybe you're a seasoned analyst with a ton of experience, or perhaps somewhere in between. Here are 3 challenges that many of us face when working with cross-channel analytics. The first is journeys span multiple channels. Data can be difficult to connect, and there are so many channels to integrate. And a lot of our traditional analytics look at customer in a linear or single device or single channel view, and that approach is no longer valid. Brands have a ton of data and have begun investing in putting that data in one place, but are struggling to operationalize that data by stitching it together and making it rapidly accessible to anyone other than advanced business analysts. Consequently, those on the front lines of customer experience lack the insight that they need in order to understand the full customer journey. Which leads to the next point, which is insight democratization. That means that data is overly exclusive. Organizations need more people making more business decisions with data-derived insights. But data governance and skill gaps often thwart that pursuit. Sometimes data governance gets in the way. Issues like data hoarding or dysfunctional or competing organizations, or maybe regulatory challenges, make it difficult to get to the data. And users often lack the skills to analyze the data properly. Sometimes it's just business users that need to figure out and just want to be told what they need to know. And finally, the data science. Data science, sometimes these unlocks are difficult to unlock, meaning that the techniques promise to unlock deep insights, but if you're not a data science or you don't have access to one, you're out of luck. Many knowledge workers have an understanding of statistical principles, meaning they know what questions to ask, but they don't have the interfaces or tools or access to the tools to figure it all out. Other challenges may just be the data itself. You as a business user may not have the ability to process millions of data, even if you do have access to the right tools. So to overcome some of these challenges, Adobe Analytics has a feature set of tools that is known as Journey IQ, and it makes cross-channel analytics available to those of us that are on the front lines that are making data-driven decisions. Journey IQ provides an easy-to-use, fully customizable visualizations and settings within Analysis Workspace to better define and understand the customer experience. There are some features that for those that have Adobe Analytics that can start using them today. And I'm briefly going to go into each of those features and spend a little bit more time on CrossDevice Analytics, which is a feature that just released within Adobe Analytics last fall. So let's start with flow analysis. Flow analysis helps us to understand where users are navigating next and what are the most popular steps in the journey to segment against. Flow analysis brings an update to traditional pathing analysis that allows you to use mixed dimension types such as props and evars as steps. And once you have a path that has been expanded and defined, with a click of a mouse, you can dynamically create a segment for all the users that have followed that path. Insights can be gleaned on how users are actually interacting with a website or mobile app, or where updates could be made to increase the likelihood of conversion or retention. Next, we have fallout analysis. Fallout analysis captures where each customer is becoming disengaged at various touch points and shows where they could go next to retarget. Analysts often start with flow analysis to see where users are actually going, and then use fallout analysis to see how many are following the ideal path that we've laid out before them. Fallout analysis helps us to understand how app users and site users are progressing through their digital experiences, and allows you to remove barriers from the conversion process in order to optimize revenue generating opportunities. You can see where users are going next after following out to give insights where updates can be made to better achieve desired behaviors. You also can easily compare segments right within the fallout visualizations. And with fallout analysis, similar to flow analysis, you can instantly create segments for those that have fallen or converted within selected steps. Next, we have cohort analysis. With cohort analysis, you can visualize retention engagement of your customers through each part of their journey and to keep them from churning. As you may know, a cohort is a group of people sharing common characteristics over a specific period. Using cohort analysis allows customer intelligence teams to maximize customer retention by intelligently identifying inflection points that are leading to loss of customer engagement. Insight from a cohort analysis can lead to knowing when to launch campaigns designed to spur desired action, when to shift marketing budget at the exact right time in the customer lifecycle, or to recognize when the end of a trial offer to maximize value, or to gain ideas for A/B testing in areas such as pricing, upgrades, and other types of customer features. In the early 2019 release of Adobe Analytics, there were new cohort features were launched. The churn table shows when visitors fall out or never meet a criteria for your cohort over time. Legacy tables measure the time that has elapsed before and after inclusion of an event, and it can be an excellent tool for pre and post analysis. Rolling calculations allow you to calculate retention and churn based on the previous column and not just the included column. And then there are custom dimension cohorts that are based on a dimension that is not time. This is valuable for dimensions like marketing channel, campaign, product, page, or region to show how retentions change based on the different values of these dimensions. And just like fallout and flow, new segments can be created by clicking into the cell of a cohort to immediately isolate customers or potentially target these customers. Next, we have context-aware sessions. We know that mobile app analytics is a lot different than standard web analytics. And context-aware sessions use virtual report suites to allow you to test out custom sessionization to adjust how long a session contributes to the journey based on where they've been and where they go. Context-aware sessions enable an organization to dynamically define what a session means. Any combination of events could trigger a new session and then apply it retroactively. As with any virtual report suite, you can make changes on how your data is reported without impacting your production data or implementing any code changes. Now you can separate your mobile app data and set custom timeouts for visits and prevent background hits from starting a new visit or even starting a new visit with the launch of an app. You can create a multitude of virtual report suites based on any various criteria to analyze how entrants or various activities impact your mobile app users. And last is CrossDevice Analytics, which allows analysts to merge behavior from multiple devices into a single journey stream, including historical data, to understand how customers move from touch point to touch point across devices. This feature was just released last fall, and CrossDevice Analytics sits at a layer below Analysis Workspace and is presented through a specially configured cross-device virtual report suite. This functionality is powered by the Adobe Experience Identity Service and the Adobe Device Graph. Like context-aware sessions, CrossDevice Analytics leverages virtual report suites, allowing you to create custom data sets that don't impact production data and requires no code to implement. To enable CrossDevice Analytics, go to the virtual report suite configuration and choose the report suite that has been configured by Adobe as CrossDevice Analytics enabled. Then turn on report time processing and enable cross-device stitching. The CrossDevice Analytics report suite will show up within Analysis Workspace with a special icon. When using a CrossDevice Analytics enabled virtual report suite, unique visitors are replaced with people and unique devices. And the segment builder, the visitor container, is replaced with the person container. This allows you to create segments like people who use more than one device, people who begin a journey on a mobile device and later purchase on a desktop device, people who click on an ad on one device and then subscribe on another device. Let's take a look at how cross-device analytics impacts reporting. Say a customer, Isabella, completes the following customer journey. On day one, she does a Google search on her mobile phone for a particular brand of phone case that her friend has. Later that day, she sees and clicks through on a targeted ad on a news site she reads. When she lands on that website, she opts in for email to get a discount code. That evening when she's at home, she clicks that email that she received with the discount code and starts browsing on her laptop. The next day, she goes to the site that she bookmarked and looks at the product on her desktop. Then at lunch, she makes the purchase on her mobile phone. This is a pretty simple and fairly reasonable journey under traditional analytics, but it would be seen as three separate visitors because there are three different devices that are used in this journey. However, with cross-device configured in a virtual report suite, this journey would be seen as one visitor with many visits in the journey. So how is this impacting reporting? Let's take this simple use of last touch attribution to figure out which channel should get credit for the sale. Because the purchase was ultimately made on device 1 and search was the only channel interacted with this device, it would get full credit for the revenue. And because the product view happened on device 2 and display was the only channel on that device, display would get credit for the product view. But with a single view of the customer in CrossDevice Analytics, because email was truly the last channel to engage, and that channel would receive credit for both the product view and the purchase. And this is just using last touch. With CrossDevice Analytics, you can use the full feature of Attribute IQ and leverage 10 different attribution models to include those that are custom defined. So with CrossDevice Analytics, there are a series of prerequisites. The first is that you must be licensed with Adobe Analytics Ultimate. You also have to successfully implemented Adobe Experience Platform Identity Service and use a declared ID. You need to opt into the Adobe Private or Co-op Device Graph, and then you need to give permission for your data to be processed on Microsoft Azure. Also, this feature is currently only available for North American customers, and there are some limitations on the amount of report suite server calls that you can have, which may be lifted over time. So that's it. So I know I've packed a lot into this session, but there are 3 key takeaways. 1, that experience matters to the customers. 2, cross-channel analytics is the approach to measure how successful you are in providing those experiences. And 3, cross-channel analytics is challenging, but there are tools that you may already have with Journey IQ and Adobe Analytics that you can start using today and make a positive impact in your business. So please do go out and try these Journey IQ features that you may have available to you in Adobe Analytics. And if you want to learn more about the product or how to get these features, please feel free to contact me and I'll be happy to get you in touch with the product specialist. Thanks, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.
Thanks so much for watching this presentation. Join us on the Analytics Nexus Slack to talk with our presenters about this topic and more.